Well, welcome to this edition of Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, Pastor James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
It's a wonderful new year.
Yes, it is. God is blessing us already, and it's just good to be a part of the Real People, Real Voices staff. And it's so good that we have a family out there,
Yeah.
Real Voices, Real People, Real Voices, who have been watching us for almost 2 years now. We want to thank you for doing that.
Yeah, we have some great people behind the scenes help make it happen.
Yes, we do have some great people behind the scenes. We're proud to be working with them. And we hope that God will give us longevity with this program, because we believe everywhere I go, it helps the community.
Yeah, we also want to thank our sponsors, Lee, Kossel, and Crowley, attorneys at law.
Yeah, we want to thank the Stewart Mortuary for helping our community with bereavement. Not only that, they do prearranged situations for families, and give them a call and they can help you get started on that. And not only that, we have a great Christian school on the Far East Side. There's a lot of things going on the Far East Side, but there's one good thing that's going on, and that's Fervent Care Christian Academy, which has enrolled about 170 children, which they have a goal of 250 in 2018. If you don't have a place to put your child, Fervent Care Christian Academy is a good place to put them.
Yeah, give them a call at 317-898-2751. Hope to see you soon. You can also go to our YouTube channel on WHMB TV 40 and become a subscriber. You can watch this show when it's over, as well as other shows that you might have missed, frothed with all different kinds of information that will help improve the quality of your life. Also go to Facebook and like us on Facebook.
Yes, and not only like us on Facebook, remember that we're on Friday and Wednesdays.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Sunday at 5:30.
Yeah, Sunday at 5:30 and Fridays at 9:30.
9:30. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
And we have a very wonderful guest on today. We're joined by Leslie Gordon. She is the Deputy Director of External Affairs. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Exciting to be here.
Yes.
First time.
Yeah, excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about your role as Deputy Director of External Affairs.
Yeah, so it's a new role for me, but it's a great opportunity with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. So our goal is to eradicate discrimination in the state of Indiana. And as part of the External Affairs team, we are over communication, outreach, and education. And we also house 5 different cultural commissions that the state supports. So that's the Commission on Hispanic and Latino Affairs, Commission on Native American Affairs, the Commission on Social Status of Black Males, the Commission on Women, as well as the Martin Luther King Holiday Celebration Commission.
Okay.
Which will be held in the Rotunda.
Well, we host several events throughout the year, and coming up this January, or later this month, is the holiday celebration, the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination celebration.
It will be at the Rotunda.
It will be.
So kind of talk to us, give us a few points about the 50-year celebration, what we can expect.
Yeah, this is a year to really look back at the legacy of Dr. King, and we look forward to bringing in the community from all around the state, youth, children, and really showcase what he did while he was alive, as well as what his impact has done after his passing, and how we can continue to grow that and make sure that generations beyond us know that legacy and take heed in that and take service seriously and really bring his mission to light.
And you talk about service, and I always tell people they can serve God by serving people. Few people did it better than Dr. Martin Luther King. How can people get involved?
Yes, so it is what this commission does is bring light to these activities and shed some education on Dr. King's legacy, and then we try to align you with some activities that are going on all around the state that you can partake in. One thing that they do is a day of service. And this year we're excited to have that day of service again. It will be that on the actual holiday, January 15th, that Monday, morning, and we'll be in the community. We're going to be at Watkins Park, and we have volunteers of all ages, as long as you're above 10 years of age, to come out and really help uplift that community center and some of the schools in that
What are some of the
area.
festivities that will be taking place other than the King celebration?
Yeah, so we have some other of our collegiate institutions. I know the new IU auditorium in Gary, actually, their campus, they have a new auditorium, and they're holding a big keynote speech and inviting a lot of the students out to really partake in some of those highlighting festivities. I know there's a reception around it and lots of days of service around, a couple marches, so.
There's a lot going on.
Yes, whatever you partake. It's January, so it'll be a little cold, but we want you out there and representing and showing you understand what his sacrifice meant.
Yeah, and what a great sacrifice he made.
Yeah, we're here today because of his sacrifice, and we ought to keep his legacy alive. And I'm glad to see that Indiana is doing their part to make sure that Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy is alive. And we hope that people will attend on January 15th down at the Rotunda, and which program is still being planned, but we know that it's going to happen.
It is, and so we're doing it in 3 parts. So I want to make it, make sure everyone understands, and all this will be up on our website, Indiana, or www.in.gov/ICRC is a place where you can get all that information. But we'll do a wreath placement on the circle, and that'll be January 11th. So that's that Thursday before the actual event at the Rotunda on the 12th. And that we're going to do a legacy march into the State House, again, to create that presentation and kind of get that feel of some of the things that Dr. King did to bring awareness to the cause and his movement. And then we'll have the official ceremony at the Rotunda that afternoon, starting
That's
at 12.
phenomenal. And it's good to see that you're working with the idea of diversity as it relates to the Holocaust observance. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the MLK Commission also is charged with that Holocaust observance, and we just had it this past November, and we'll have it annually, and we engage the youth as well. And we have a lot of things going on in our community that reflect back to our past, and so helping kids understand where we've come from and some of the tragic things that have happened and what has blossomed out of it and some of the positivity that's come from it. So the Holocaust observance, it memorializes those who passed during that horrific time, and then it also really uplifts those survivors and what they bring to the youth today and how they can learn from those mistakes.
So in our community now, are you all seeing more activity with regard to discrimination?
We definitely do, unfortunately, but that is a resource of our office to have a place to report that and educate Indiana residents on what their rights are. So a lot of people don't understand what those rights are and that they have a place where they can file those complaints, and we investigate them for you, help you make sure that they're founded, or if they're founded, and work with you through the entire process if it does become a legal proceeding. And we do that all free of charge. So we tell people you have to call, and we help you figure out if there is a situation, even if you just have a question. But we definitely are seeing discrimination around the state, and so what we've been able to do is look at where those complaints come from and kind of target our outreach so that we're effectively communicating to those areas on what their rights are and what we do.
So when we talk about external affairs, and of course that's your role, can you kind of tell our viewers the scope of what that's about for you?
Yeah, it's a big scope. We have a lot of ways to communicate with people today, and you guys mentioned it before. So using social media and finding ways to utilize our partners and enhancing that message. But we also we're out in the community. We will go to events around the state. We were in Valparaiso earlier this month, and Evansville last week. And we have some things all around the state that we visit. And we've been visiting our local human relations agencies around the state, and there's about 16 of them. So we hit every corner. So we're boots on the ground, as well as using technology to our favor. And then we have a training component. So if you have an organization, a lot of new businesses come up, or some bigger businesses that have some institutional culture ways that they're used to, we can come in and help educate them on best practices and some things to do, or maybe they have a new employee that might have an assistance animal that people aren't used to in the workplace. We can help come in and educate them on some of the things that they're responsible for and ways to handle that.
As being deputy director, where do you see you and as it relates to deputy director in the next 6 months? Where do you really see you concentrating on?
We have a lot of brand awareness to get out, and so one of my goals is to make sure that we're efficient in how we're operating, because we're a small shop. We have a smaller team, but we have a big mission, and I think it's very possible to execute that, but just streamlining our services and making sure that we're communicating to the people that know about us and giving them the proper tools to be advocates for us. We can't be everywhere, but we have the ability to touch a lot of people, and so just making sure that we're equipping them accordingly so that they have all of our contact information. Our website is ready for them to use. Our social feed is up. That we're on shows like Real People, Real Voices to really show where they can go to learn more about us. And that's my goal, is to see that be really streamlined and, using the tools that we have.
All right, we're with Leslie Gordon, Deputy Director of External Affairs. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
We're joined by Leslie Gordon, Deputy Director of External Affairs. So glad that you could join us today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity.
Thank you. We've been talking about some of the components that make up her personality as a director. Your complaint area. There's a lot of people who are in the city and in the state don't know how to adequately file a complaint, not only adequately file a complaint, but understand the resources that come along with that. Could you help us with that?
Yes, that is one of the great things that I learned when I joined the team, is that we have this great service that's free of charge for people that, if you just feel you've been discriminated against, you can call us and we talk you through that process. So one thing that I think we're trying to do is get some of those misconceptions out of there. And first off, that there is a resource for you. We are here to enforce the Indiana Civil Rights Law. There are certain things you cannot do. And so under those protected classes, which are your race, sex, color, national origin, ancestry, disability, veteran status, those are areas where there are laws in place to make sure that your rights are enforced. So when you give us a call, we take that call. We have someone that you can talk to right then and there that'll kind of walk you through how to file a complaint and talk you through the issue and make that declaration for you. And then there's some paperwork that we do, but then that's passed to an investigator, and that investigator is charged with figuring out if there was actually some discrimination or there was cause for it. And so they will contact the other party and work on your behalf, as well as notify them of everything that they need and their responsibilities, and take it through that process to really uncover the situation.
Tell us about your training service.
Yes, so not only do we enforce the law, a lot of people kind of say, oh no, don't call us Civil Rights Commission, what do we do wrong? We want to be proactive. We want to reach out to these businesses and organizations and let them know you don't have to wait until something has happened or a grievance has happened to contact us. You can either, if you see something beforehand or just want to make sure that your staff's up to date, we provide services to come in and talk to you on any specific problem under that civil rights law that you might want to get more training on. It can be very broad, so if you just want to talk about implicit bias, what is that? What are those built-in biases that impact us day to day and impact our decision making, and how do how do we tailor that to not impact our judgment or be biased in the workplace? That's something we can do, or we can tailor it to a very specific employee that may observe a specific religious ceremony or wear specific attire based on their culture or ancestry that needs to be addressed, and people need to know what is allowed and not allowed to say, and just how to really create and foster positive work environments.
In that area of complaint, what wraparound services do you offer? When I mean wraparound attorney, do you all?
It is full service. It is a
Okay.
very cool organization. So we, again, from figuring out what that complaint is, writing up that complaint, mailing the documents that are needed for that, the investigator who actually can go on site and look into that, and then we have a mediation department. So if you choose to mediate and not go to a formal legal proceeding, we have mediators on hand that can talk you through that process to get to the settlement. And then we have staff attorneys. So if it does go to court and it does have to be litigated, they're there to do that. And then we have an administrative law judge. So if it is a court proceeding, that's something that we handle in-house as well, which is all official and all open to the public, but a little more knowledgeable and specific to those discrimination cases. So you go to, say you go to the court, the small claims court, or they have all these other cases they hear. When you come to our court process and hear with our administrative law judge, they know discrimination law. That's all that they hear. So you're getting the expert in that case.
What do you like most about what you do?
A lot of things, but I'm a people person. I love to engage with people and help them come to solutions, and that's another thing that we do. We connect people all around the state because we don't have all the answers and we don't enforce every law, and so we see some things that aren't covered under Indiana civil rights law, but we know how to connect you. So being able to work with people and really help them understand there are protections for them and there are resources for them. The biggest thing, I think I was at the Indiana Black Expo and I was doing a game. We played the fair or foul game, and we would ask them a little scenario, one we hear, typically one in housing, where they try to steer you based on if they see you come in with children. They might say, oh, well, let's go look at an apartment by the playground. And technically, that is not something you can do, and that might be discrimination. And so many parents, when we read that question, were like, oh, they do that to me. I've had that happen to me, and didn't know that they had a resource to figure out what the next steps were. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's good to have those resources in place as well.
Yeah, what's interesting, in our youth jobs program, we used to let the ladies go first to get their meals before we started using the free meal service. When we started using the free meal service, it was indicated you can't do that because it's discriminating against the guys. So how do we navigate that? Certainly, everybody has to just come up and get their meals, but trying to teach social niceties.
Yeah, I think there's a balance between that, humanity and being nice to a fellow person without leading it to discrimination. But one thing that we talk about a lot is just open dialogue and being open about that and making sure that you're aware of those nuances. And not everyone's going to get it right, but I think, and that's another reason we definitely broach every situation with having that dialogue and understanding that you're aware of it, is how you start that conversation. Because as people become more educated and talk about it, I think you get less of those harsh reactions and more building those relationships and building the understanding of, well, if I let you go first, that doesn't necessarily mean it's because you're this or that sex. It's because that's
a nicety.
it's a gesture, a human thing that I'm doing in this moment. So I think making that clear and setting that and talking that up is what is
So it's all about communication.
It is all about communication.
Yeah. Well, Leslie, thanks for being with us today. All the best to you and everything that's going to be going on. And do you want to reiterate the Martin Luther King event?
Yes, I just tell everyone, save the date, January 11th and 12th for the MLK celebration at the State House, and then the day of service and the MLK holiday, January 15th, that Monday.
Stay with us. We'll be back with the rundown.
Keep it real.
Welcome back to this edition of Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
Your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
And I'm your executive producer, Faith McKinney.
Great show on today.
Yep, it was. I mean, Miss Gordon had a lot to talk about. I think she's given some credence to the fact of what's going on as it relates to the 50th year assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King.
A day of service.
Yes, a day of service, not a day of mourning, a day of service, and Indianapolis ought to participate at the Rotunda on that particular day.
Yeah.
Inside.
Inside, yeah. Faith on the inside. Yeah.
It more than likely will be cold,
Yes.
but inside the temperatures will be tolerable. And it'll be a great thing in the Watkins Park.
Right, which is, they're bringing it to the inner city, which is phenomenal. I think that people are but gradually returning to grassroots. Things are not going to get done in our city nor our state if we don't rediscover grassroots.
Yeah.
And I think if we rediscover grassroots, then we can see a lot of things transition in our neighborhoods if we get back to the grassroots level. We've left the grassroots level politically, and we need to get back to it.
Yeah. So, Faith, certainly all of the guests that you've been able to bring on, we certainly appreciate it. It's a brand new year.
Looking
Sure
forward
is.
to it.
Had a lot of great people last year, and we were without you for a brief period of time while you were transitioning.
Yes, I was transitioning in different positions. I love it, and being able to do this on, off days is great. And I'm so grateful to be able to work with both you, Pastor Jackson, and Pastor Moore.
We enjoy having you. We've missed you terribly.
Yep.
And it's just so good to have you back with us, and we hope that the Lord will keep you in place to where you can be with us and go to church on Sunday.
Wow.
That's our joke.
Great show on today because we have a great audience. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, WHMB TV 40. Like us on Facebook.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
want to thank our sponsors.
Yes, we want to thank Stewart Mortuary for what they do as it relates to bereavement. We want to take fervent prayer. Christian Academy for what they do for families. We also want to thank Lee Cossack and
Crawley
for
Attorneys at Law.
Attorneys at Law for making sure that this show comes to the community.
And if you would like to be a sponsor, we'd certainly like for you to get a hold of Curtis Baker over at WHMB TV 40 and let him know you want to support this show that has been a blessing to the people.
And
who
if you want to
live
be a
in our
guest,
city.
get in touch with
Yeah,
Faith.
Faith, how can they contact you?
Oh, I'm always on Facebook.
We'll be back. Or no, we're done. So we'll see you next time.